It is a great honor for me to stand before you today on behalf of the Symposium of the Episcopal Conferences of Africa and Madagascar, SECAM, and in particular on behalf of the Secretary General, Reverend Father Raphael Simbine Jr., who, due to prior commitments, has asked me, his first Deputy Secretary General in charge of evangelization, to replace him. I sincerely thank you for this gracious invitation and for the commendable initiative of organizing this assembly, which brings together prophetic youth voices for our planet and for our future. We gather under the theme, a decade of Laudato Si, journeying together in hope of our common home. Far from being just an anniversary, this is a kairos moment, a pivotal moment. 10 years ago, the late Pope Francis released Laudato Si, an encyclical that invited the entire human family into a renewed dialogue about how we are shaping the future of our planet. It was a global wake-up call, urging us to hear both the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor, in paragraph 49. Marking this decade compels us not only to look back to the fruits of the encyclical, but to renew our shared commitment to ecological conversion. It is a call to move from abstract awareness to concrete action, from words to witness. As Pope Francis wrote in paragraph 217, living our vocation to be protectors of God's handwork is essential to a life of virtue. My dear friends, in many ways, the youth of Africa have become a source of inspiration for this ecological virtue. Through community initiatives, advocacy, climate resilience actions, and theological reflection, you are embodying the hope of which this theme speaks. And you are not doing this alone. You are journeying together synodally with others of goodwill and with the church. This assembly, therefore, is not a mere gathering. It is a manifestation of growing ecological conscience, rooted in faith, and it signals a deepening understanding that the care of creation is not peripheral to our Christian vocation. It is at its very heart. Dear brothers and sisters, the 2015 encyclical Laudato Si remains a defining moral and spiritual guide for addressing today's ecological and social crisis. The Supreme Pontiff situated ecology within Catholic social teaching, presenting it not merely as a scientific or political issue, but as a deeply spiritual and ethical concern. As SECAM emphasized in its 2023 message ahead of COP28, the ecological crisis is not just scientific, it is a pastoral urgency and a theological call to action rooted in our understanding of God as the creator and redeemer. Central to this message is the concept of integral ecology, a holistic vision that recognizes the profound interconnectedness of environment and human well-being. In paragraph 139 of Laudato Si, the late Pope Francis states, "We are faced not with two separate crises, one environmental and the other social, but rather one complex crisis." He insists that the cry of the earth must be heard alongside the cry of the poor. Laudato Si challenges us to adopt a new way of living, simpler, more just, and more in harmony with creation. It is a call to ecological and social conversion grounded in solidarity and justice. As we commemorate 10 years of this prophetic document, we are called anew to embrace its vision and act with urgency and a hope for our common home. Dear friends, in the journey toward ecological justice and integral human development, young people are not passive recipients, but key drivers of ecological transformation, as the document highlights in paragraph 13. This assembly, under the leadership of CYNESA, is a clear witness to the youthful desire for a world rooted in justice, sustainability, and compassion. With your creativity, energy, and prophetic courage, you are called to lead the ecological conversion the world urgently needs, challenging consumerism and apathy through action and example. Cardinal Ambongo, the president of SECAM, addressing African youth in 2022, stated, "The energy of our youth must be the engine of Africa's ecological awakening. Their creativity, their dreams, and their love for the land are powerful forces for renewal." CYNESA's commitment to education, community initiatives, and interfaith dialogue has embodied the principles of Laudato Si, making the encyclical a lived reality. And for this, I'd want to applaud yourself. You have done very well. In your advocacy and grassroots work, you have become a prophetic voice within the church. And as I said at the back then, seeing the way you were fighting your sister, upper west, upper east, I asked myself, channel this energy. Yeah, by the time you finish fighting, there will be no more energy to deal with the other. SECAM acknowledges and applauds this vital contribution, encouraging the youth to continue boldly. As Pope Francis once exhorted at World Youth Day, young people must make a turmoil, a gospel-rooted turmoil for justice, peace, and care of our common home. My dear friends, as we reflect on 10 years of Laudato Si, we must not lose sight of the concrete challenges facing our beloved continent. Africa has problems. Africa stands at a crossroad, blessed with immense natural beauty and rich biodiversity, yet increasingly vulnerable to environmental exploitation and degradation. As the concept note of this assembly rightly mentions, Ghana's struggle against illegal mining, or galamsey, is emblematic of a broader crisis. It's just a tip of the iceberg. And as the representative from WWF said, instead of just telling government what it already knows, just anticipate, make proposals, give propositions. Not only must you say what is wrong, propose ways to remedy what is wrong. We need to go ahead instead of walking behind. I hope you get me. Yeah, it's very important. If not, we shall always be repeating what is being done. For instance, those in Ghana, you have seen on social media with the little rains we had, the flooding everywhere. These are some of the things you should try to give propositions and see how best we can move forward. So like I said, in Africa, we are blessed, and at the same time, we are cursed. Unfortunately, as ought to always, it is the poor, the farmers, children, and women in rural communities who bear the greatest burden of this devastation. In a powerful statement before COP27, Cardinal Ambongo called climate change a structural sin, and a moral outrage, urging the global community not to abandon Africa to environmental collapse. In the face of such injustice, the Church in Africa must not remain silent. The Synod on Synodality has reminded us that the Church is called to listen and walk with those on the margins. We must stand with our people in the fight against environmental exploitation. We must be prophetic, not passive, collaborative, not complacent. The time for polite concern is over. The time for gospel-rooted ecological conversion is now. But let us now not be overwhelmed by the magnitude of the challenge. For in every crisis lies an opportunity. Africa has the youngest population in the world. We have communities immersed in communal values, in reverence for the land. These cultural and spiritual riches are fertile for a new ecological ethic, one that is indigenous, faith-driven, and future-oriented. This is the opportunity before the Church to become a true agent of ecological renewal, forming consciences, raising prophetic voices, and forging partnerships for sustainable development. Let the Church in Africa rise up with the voice of the prophets and the resolve of the saints to defend the land, to uplift the poor, and to witness to the sacredness of all creation. My dear friends, the time has come for us to move from reflection to bold prophetic action. Far from being a merely commemorative event, this assembly is a launching pad for a renewed mission. 10 years since Laudato Si was released. What is our goal for the next 10 years? As young people of faith, you are called not just to celebrate the 10th anniversary of Laudato Si, but to write the next chapter. I strongly encourage you to give life to the commitment outlined in this assembly. Begin with the development of Youth of Faith position paper on Laudato Si, capturing your voices, experiences, and dreams for a just and sustainable future. Let it be a document that speaks not only to the Church, but to the wider world, governments, institutions, and fellow citizens of our common home. Secondly, may this be a moment of personal and communal ecological conversion. Father was saying, you cannot give what you do not have. It is easy to talk. It is easy to talk. And I can assure you, the youth of today talk a lot. Sometimes they forget that those to whom they speak were themselves. Yeah. Moreover, do not be afraid to advocate. Be logical and global. From the shores of Lake Victoria to the streets of Nairobi, from the forest of Congo to the climate negotiations of COP summits, your presence matters. You are not too young. You are not too few. You are the seeds of a new world. As we gather in the spirit of synodality, I invite you to lift up your eyes in hope. We are in the Jubilee year of hope. Pope Francis has offered the Church and the world a precious gift in Laudato Si, a prophetic document that will shape our common future. His leadership reminds us that the Church is not behind in the fight for ecological justice. It is and must remain at the forefront. Let us leave this assembly not with a sense of burden, but a sense of responsibility and a sense of possibility. Let us be reminded, as Laudato Si declares in paragraph 71, all it takes is one good person to restore hope. Each of you here can be that person. Together, we can be that community. Now, I'll call upon the organizers. It was given us the responsibility of the Secretary General to give the address and to open officially this assembly. But the government officials, I don't know what they are yet to arrive. And after opening it officially, no speech can be given. So I'm asking, do I open now or I wait? I wait. Okay. 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 All right. So, my dear friends, I end here by saying we have a lot of work to do. Not that we are afraid to do it, but we should know how to go about it. Thank you.